Hello everyone, this is Cookies, and I think it's been about a week since my last big recording binge, and I've got a few more turns of this particular series, so let's see if we can stay on track. So we've got a couple of Voice of Apsus, we've got Augury, not hitting anything there. No more. Okay, and this is a very sad turn for me because it turns out, despite my best efforts to try and kind of spy on Machaka a bit, I guess they weren't my best efforts, but I didn't see anything indicating that he had summoned them. But we miss on both the Fire King and the Air Queen, so we're down 100 gems. Definitely should have just done one or the other. Probably the fire one. Uh, so that's pretty disappointing. So it's gonna take us a little bit to recover from that. So definitely the right play was probably just ignoring the elemental royalty and empowering another guy in air. But it was worth it. In some ways, it was worth a shot because an Air Queen would be a big power boost. All right, so we've got, let's see, we've got a bunch of mages here doing a bunch of Skelly spam. A few Slinger bolts hit back here. Alright, overwhelming that bit of Scalarian resistance. No casualties this time. Abyssia going after Shinyama here. So the Pretender is back. I guess they got sent, they did a returning play and got sent to the Void and collected a bunch of insanity. So the Pretender is, there's no way to fix insanity in this game. So this Pretender's just kind of screwed. I mean, Abyssia was already on their way out, but still. Is there... what's left? Okay. I'm assuming you just soul slide the commander. Okay. And then in Karnag, we've got the Grand Army of Nidavellir, including... so this is something you want to be careful of when you're rolling with white mages. So you put his white mage here, who has a lot of special gear, in the middle of his mage ball, rather than maybe in the middle of a troop ball. And so now he does have some built-in cold res on a fair number of mages, but not on all the mages. So the Nidavellir natives should have some, but this adept does not. And he's in the same square as the white mage. Also, this adept over here, also no cold resist. So it can be really easy to accidentally freeze out, either fatigue out other big mages in your mage ball, or to kill them by missing small details like that. We'll see if it affects them in... This is just PD, so I'm not going to bother watching the troops. I just want to kind of see how the fatigue is tracking. Now, it does look like we're in a heat environment. I think there was a hotkey to see the weather. Weather and Dominion, F2. So yeah, so we are in heat 2. So clouds expire faster, and that includes cold clouds. And then I think heat lessens the effect of cold clouds. So should hopefully be okay here. In fact, I'm not seeing any aura. So maybe the heat is even preventing the aura from taking place. In which case, all of my previous concerns would be invalid. say 97 fatigue. A cold malice. Now we're definitely getting a little dangerous. Okay, but no rolls against cold. Okay, yeah, it looks like the cold aura just doesn't even take effect, I guess. Cool, that's good to know. Alright. So, gains 5 Princeps from the Scalarian Force. Then there's a Fortress Storm Assault here. So we've got a bunch of longbows. These longbows are really nice because you can put them on hold and fire, and then mages like these Uba can buff them. And then he's also brought his Immortal Hero. He's got a Fire Shield and Immortality. I was wondering if he had done Phoenix Pyre. He's got a Shootin' Doji to lead everything. They're generally the best generals. And then he's got this Bakemono Sorcerer. So, a little bit of counter battery fire coming back. Now, this particular mage on the wall is fairly difficult to get rid of because he's got a tower shield effect helping protect him. This guy's going to be a lot easier to get rid of. I think ideally this Bakemono Sorcerer might be on Advancing Cast. He is twice spawned. And the evocations would help clear the wall. But should still be fine. Should be a pretty easy take. And he could have been worried about friendly fire from the Bakemono Sorcerer too. Alright, cool. Gogmagog takes another fort. So loses 23 die Bakemonos. He's not going to care about these Beck-Reeds. Does kill a mage in the process. And Shinyama getting underground, it can be pretty hard to get them rooted out of the underground. And we get an assassination battle. So going after my Sino Shaman. Okay, my skeleton is better. Then we get a whole bunch of militia to add to our upkeep. Now that war is over, and we get a big tax event. And we also get hit by a couple of indie attacks. Or no, this is Naba. Mostly depends on the Desert Warrior's morale, I think. Oh, a few of them died. Oh, I mean, they held. So I guess I wasn't giving the Vine Ogres enough credit. Alright, and then, oh, there's this guy. So, I'm not sure what this is. This guy doesn't look like he's scripted to retreat. So, just a few poison darts. Alright, so loses a mage. Oh, so he might have been trying to keep that fort under siege, but I think if it was a mage, you'd probably want the mage scripted to retreat, but... I mean, the effect is the same. Scalaria is going to have to actually remove this indie force to break the siege on this fort, so we'll see how that goes. Alright. And then... what else do we have? I think other than that, it's mostly peacetime. So yeah, this turn was definitely a bit of a downer, because I didn't get the summons I wanted, but mostly continuing to site search. So you see some site searches here. I'm trying to get my gem income up. Oops. And then a couple doing a tiny bit of forging, trying to put it more on hammers. And I'm also really trying to save death and nature gems as part of my global plan. And I mean, the global plan could get me killed. It could also win me the game. It will certainly get me coalitioned, but that might happen anyways in a few turns here. And I think it's fun, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right. Yeah, I think that's most of this turn. I'm not really doing anything crazy. I'm rolling out more. I've started, so I've got like these stockpile commanders that I sort things onto. And then from them, I create new little like raiding group squads. And the squads with an actual number are typically a little more elite. So these have mandragoras and some carrion bears. Now, mandragoras and carrion bears might not be the best combo going later in the game because these can be stolen, whereas these are likely not to get stolen. So the mandragoras work better in an army, whereas the carrion bears might work better in raiding. But it's what we've set up, and we can swap some of these around later. So you can see different groups. We've like reorganized some things. And so for instance, there's this army. And we've mixed up some of these. I think because they're both decent MR, this is all decent MR. So this is a fairly decent force. It should be, I mean, this stuff can get stolen and this stuff can get stolen. But the green shirts, I'm not sure if I would include them in an army fight. So like these guys, whereas I could just do this for an army. And then maybe mix these together. So you can kind of see what I'm thinking here. Depends on the threats I might run into. I'm not as worried about arcane domination now. Nidavellir can pretty easily cast it to me on me. Using his pretender or with a communion. Naba can do it using a communion. But End, I was definitely a little bit more worried about, and now I'm not as worried about End because we managed to win that war. So yeah, I think that's where we're at the moment. Continuing trying to scale up and lick our wounds after the debacle of our poor gem supply. It would have been really nice to get that kind of magic diversity of a Fire 4 or Fire 5, I think Air 5. So, pretty unfortunate. Should have probably known that green guy would get there first. So, but it is what it is. We did scry this, and we don't see them. So they might be hiding somewhere else. He might have found here he might have made a glamour booster for a Veil army, and he might be hiding them somewhere, in which case Scry won't spot it. So that could also be the case. On my end, I am vulnerable to being scryed upon. I do have a dome here, but what I am going to at least try to do is try to be good about patrolling. And hopefully that will prevent at least easy scout access. I'll at least force them to spend gems. And if they're spending gems scrying on me, then those are gems not going into other things. So, all right. So I think that's it for turn 54. I'll go ahead and blow up turn 55. All right. So turn 55. We got a Weeping Stone, which is 1 water, so a bunch more misses. Pretty unfortunate. Really was hoping to get at least a couple more hits than what we've been getting. Might make sense to... I would like to get the income a little bit higher, and then I can probably cut back in the remote searches. And maybe that can lead into getting like a new Winds of Death caster every, let's say, 5 turns, which I think would be okay. We've also got this. Pretender shows up again, but runs into an Abyssian army. Or it's stuck here. Yeah, because Shinyama's attacking. No gems on it for returning. So, doesn't do a heck of a lot. And then we've got the big spider army going after a throne. Some big decay casts. Okay. So loses 1 hunter spider, takes out the throne. We get a good event for a change, then we get a bad event. And another bad event. We do patrol this out, we lose a carrion wolf, and we patrol out a Nidavellir scout. What are we doing this turn? Continuing to consolidate stuff in Ildmire, and then roll it back out as different like raiding groups and whatnot. We're also continuing to do very light foraging. We're getting a ring of returning. Our pearls are a very constrained resource right now. So trying to use them efficiently is really important at the moment, at least. So another ring of returning is good. We've picked up a couple of boosters. And then at some point I think we've gotten a golem. So we have a means of doing anti-magic later that can't be magic dueled. We'll probably want another golem at some point. Golems might determine how many effective armies we can roll out against Nidavellir. So we'll have to see. Whoops. All right, and then in terms of casting, just some more site searching. I think we're also doing a little bit of manual site searching. The other thing we're trying to do is push our Dominion a little bit more. This is the point in the game where we need to be worried about Purgatory. Actually, it's been that way for a bit now. But so we do want to spread our Dominion now, even though it'll tank our income. I definitely don't want to let too much enemy Dominion in, and then they cast Purgatory and all of our stuff dies. That would be a real sad way to go. So definitely want Dominion over our forts, and if we can, we want to get it spread out to here, but we'll have to work on getting some more like dryads that we can roll out to do some preaching. All right, and potentially get down some more temples. We could put cheap temples in a couple of places and maybe patrol them. It is a little bit riskier. We have a tendency to get hit by night attacks. Night attacks can definitely kill 100 plus mannequins. We probably need 200 or 300 mannequins to kill 100 or like 60 knights. So we might want to be careful about where we put some of these, but putting out a few temples could very well be nice. All right. And we're continuing to recruit Panic Apostates. I'm not going to realize for a couple of turns that maybe I should swap recruitment over to Dryads. My main concern is I want to get some Death 3s that aren't twice-borned. So I finally did the testing. Converting to a Lich overrides twice-born, so essentially you're just throwing those gems away. So I'll probably keep my currently twice-borned Panics. And I'll try to find Death 3 panics that I can turn into liches. If I am able to get to construction 9 and get the booster that gives +2 death, then I'll do that. I have a feeling though that Machaka's gonna take it from us before we get there, but we'll see. Here we go. So Mother Oak and Well of Misery. And I think that's good for this turn as well. We'll try to go through these turns pretty quick so they don't take up too many episodes. So I'll go ahead and move on to turn 56. All right, so I've got turn 56 pulled up. We do a little bit more site searching. We get a Cave of Clouds, which is really nice. I think that's 2 gems, but only 1 air gem. I'll have to take a look, but otherwise we just keep miffing. Yeah, it's not even 2, it's just 1. A new global goes up, that's Forge of the Ancients. And then we've got 1 battle. So we've got that Scalaria, or Nidavellir Skelly spam raid hitting Scalaria. A little bit of arrows getting back there. It looks like they landed some hits. So might be good to, if you're going to roll out a raiding group like that, you could add a little bit of arrow bait towards the front on hold and attack to try and draw aggro for that. So he loses 5 Camazots. Now he might not completely care about the Camazots. He might be trying to get them off the payroll a bit. So we'll see. And then, yeah, some more mostly negative effects from events. Okay, so for this particular turn, it's more of the same. Now, I was talking with Machaka, and this could be misdirection on his part. He might be wanting to... he might be worried about me attacking Shinyama before Shinyama's done invading Abyssia. And his intention might be to coalition me with Nidavellir and himself and Shinyama. So, in which case, that would probably kill me, and then Machaka would be set up to win. We'll see, though. And then maybe I can make the case that people should be more wary of Machaka, but we'll see. Putting up more globals, though, does increase his kind of like threat meter relative to me. But bullying 2 of my neighbors out of vulturing End, you know, could have pissed them off. I mean, we'll just have to see. Naba could also try to jump in on me through a diagonal. So I could just get coalition to death. That's certainly a possibility. My hope is, though, that since Nidavengir's still attacking Scalaria, we still have our peace for 4 more turns with Machaka and Nidavellir. And then Abyssia probably wants to clean up this last fort and then have time to march stuff back to the border. During that time, I should finish up Lichcraft and potentially even Enchanted Forests. So I would have a global I could attempt. Now, I imagine they would probably just dispel it, unless I got a much bigger cast. If I had to do an emergency Enchanted Forest, I might consider alchemizing everything to increase the strength of it. But I don't think we're quite at that point. And maybe, oh, sorry about the phone. And maybe I could negotiate my way out of part of the coalition, or adequately fearmonger Machaka. So we'll have to see what people are thinking. As it stands right now, I'm just gonna try and keep scaling in the Asphodel way, which is by continuing to convert myself into a gem-based economy. And we'll see how that goes. The other thing is if Machaka attacks me, I could potentially try to overcast Mother Oak, but I think I would rather just defend myself. And I might be able to Fearmonger Gift of Nature's Bounty out from Machaka, because he might do that, or he might do Enchanted Forest. Enchanted Forest is probably too aggressive. I think it would be really strong for the Machaka player to do, but it might be too aggressive. It'd piss off too many people. So I think what he's actually going to do is set up for a Gift of Nature's Bounty play. He's got a lot of forts already. I think he's going to keep building more forts. If he fought a coalition war against me, it would be Shinyama and Nidavellir doing the heavy lifting. Maybe Naba would try to get this throne. And then he's going to want all of this, right? So he's going to want the Throne of Gaia. He's going to want this other throne. And that's going to put him within reach of winning the game very, very easily. So we'll have to see what Diplo work we can do against that. But for now, as long as Nidavellir is doing this, I think I might be okay. But we'll have to see. Outside of that, I think what I'm going to try to do is try to maintain peace for as long as I can, so I can do as strong a global cast as I can. I don't think I need to keep growing at the moment. So, and I'm aware that Calum, I think, is the one. I think it was Calum that was spitting out graphs. But I forget. No, it was Machaka. No, Calum, I think. Somebody's got graphs. I forget. But I haven't told anyone because the player asked me not to. Because Machaka and I were talking a little bit about game state. And I was pretty aware that I was strong. I was not aware of how strong. I knew Machaka was strong, but I was not aware of how strong. So that was a useful conversation for getting a little bit of information. I think if the lobby coalitions me, it might end up biting some of them. Because I think it would benefit Machaka too much, and Machaka wouldn't be putting enough risk in. I'm pretty sure they would just try to Firestorm me. I'm still not entirely sure what I do against Firestorm other than Rain and a +5 battlefield-wide resist spell. And maybe that would be enough to keep some of my stuff alive. What I probably need to do is kill my Prophet off. And that would let me profit a Carrion Lord. Now, there are other ways to get to Holy 4 without necessarily killing my Prophet. And one of those ways, I think, is the Ring of the False Prophet, which is Glamour and Fire. But I don't think I have... Oh, I do have that cross path. So that would be Glamour 4, Fire 2. I do have some Glamour, 2 Glamour boosters. So I could certainly make a couple of those for my 2 Carrion Lords. These 2 guys. And then what that lets them do is there is a Holy 4 national spell called Carrion Growth, and I think that's battlefield-wide regen on mannequins. And you can spam it, which you probably need to, because its magic resistance negates easily for some reason. Yeah, so Mandragoras are not always affected by this spell, which is kind of weird that they would... There's no concept in this game of choosing to fail in terms of an MR check, so I feel like there shouldn't be an MR check on this. mostly, is what I'm thinking. Since it only affects friendly units, why wouldn't the Mandragoras want this buff? I don't know. So it's kind of a goofy spell. And so making a couple of those rings could be really solid. I'll think about doing that in my next turn when that rolls. What else are we up to? Although I might want one more Fairy Queen, and that's a heads up. I'm about to get a Fairy Queen. Then once I've got one more of those, maybe it's time. Although I'm not sure how long I want to wait. I do have a really good glamour income, and the fire income is slowly improving. So I could probably make one of these rings every couple of turns. And I only have two of the Carrion Lords that are the Holy Threes. So the summoned variety. So I'd only need to make two, and then both of those Carrion Lords could support major armies. Which would be pretty nice. It might be good to get another one at some point, but I really am going to try and save for if somebody starts a nap countdown with me or attacks me or declares war on me. I really am thinking about just throwing up those two globals, the Underdark and the Enchanted Forest, if I can get the research for them both. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is swapping in a turn or two, is swapping Underdark up before construction. Actually, no, it doesn't make sense to come. It needs to come after the construction because I need the booster to even be able to cast it. So if I get attacked before then, what I'll do is I'll probably alchemize for an even bigger Enchanted Forest cast, but we'll see. We will certainly see about that. Could also consider taking some of my twice-born guys like this one and also turning them into liches. It's very... because it's 30 gems to turn them into a lich, and I've already spent, I think, I don't know, however many gems turning them and twice borning them. So I'm a bit hesitant to do that because it's double paying. But we'll see what happens. All right, so I think that's a lot of this one. Here's what we're casting. So we do have that fairy court coming out. And then here's what we're foraging. And I think that's it for this turn. We're at 32 minutes. I'll go ahead and I'll do the next turn. That way, if people want to skip this episode because it's mostly a setup episode, we can do that. Okay, so this is my current turn, turn 57. And we have another dire important go up from Machaka. So Machaka's filling in the global list, which I think will help spur their threat meter, so to speak. Maybe it'll prevent us from getting coalitioned, but we'll see. And then we've got... oh, I guess I should show the battles. It's not like we've got a lot of entertainment. All right. So we've got a big block of Janguard. I don't even think they're blessed. They're just rolling on in. All right. Then in Iron Peaks, we've got a bunch of Zots. We've got some Skelly spam. We've got a few Nidbethed, and we've got a big block of Nidalvas. I think this group's a lot better. This should not run into the issue of archers picking off random Zots mages. Alright, and then we've got Summerlands, where we've got a Storm General, looking at a bunch of Scalarian stuff, but there's no leadership. So all the undead just disappeared. Okay, so quick 38 kills for the Storm General. If he had stuck around a little bit longer, he would have picked up even more. And then in Vepitre, we've got the main army. Biggest issue here is slingers killing his mages. And people seeing a script. So we've got Storm, Divine Channeling, and Howl. What else do we have? We've got a Communion. We've got a lot of group buffs, but we do get Will of the Fates coming out. This guy is a Communion Master with 14 Communion Slaves. Is this Earthquake? Oh, Earthquake Warriors. Okay. This guy is Routing. So a few of them did get hit by arrows. Again, turn 1 buffs can be really nice on mages. It does affect how quickly our Communion sets up, but it also can really help with survivability, especially if you're storming forts that you're pretty sure are empty. We've got Growing Fury. Okay, so yeah, we've got the Twist Fate. We've got a bunch of resists put out. Here's the Bless. So some of the resists are from the Bless. Let's see, anything on these? Just a cold resistance buff. They have a damaged weapon now. Interesting. Alright, so augmenting his army with some of the Kithronic Lions you've stolen and from a throne and some trolls, which is pretty nice. Does lose a Bear Clan mage and a Wolf Clan mage. So that's a little sad, but they're super replaceable. Then in Lupia, we've got a commander ping on the last Abyssian fort. Kind of seeing what summons that may have been summoned in there. We see some ogres, we see some ghosts. Alright, 2 of the wolves burned to death. Alright, and then we get hit by knights. And this was one of my larger patrolling groups. So this is, I think, 175 mannequins, including a few of the unique ones. So we've killed 1 commander. So this is the only other guy left, and we win this battle, but we're not going to get him. So a little bit of awkward contact. So yeah, we lose 175 stuff. The commander gets away, which is nice, but yeah, a little bit unfortunate. Then we have a few Black Harpies patrolled out, so we're going to have to be a little bit more careful about how we are spying on Machaca. We can see what this hero's holding. Maybe they're holding something. Okay, let's do it this way. No gear on him, he's just a really nice commander. He's got inspirational, so he gets +2 to his squads, which is pretty nice. He comes with a built-in club, which is also nice. Alright, and this is actually my current turn. I thought we were still a couple of turns back, but I believe this is my current turn. So, what are we up to? A lot of the same stuff that we have been throughout this whole episode. So we're doing a few more casts. We're going to have the perfect amount of gems next turn to cast another Fairy Court. So we're going to go ahead and get a second one. And then we're going to start working on Rings of the False Prophet, which we discussed about last turn. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's actually a great way to do that. I don't like suiciding my units all the time, and this guy's kind of fun. He's a hero, he's got Valor, so he's got +4 inspirational. So he gives a big morale buff, which is kind of fun. So I think that's that's the angle I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try and get, I think, 3 rings of the false prophet if I can, if I get 6 turns to do it. And then my prophet can do that spell, and then both of my... Right, I think he'll be able to do the national spell. Let me just check if there's any casting restrictions. Carrying growth. Yeah, I think my prophet could do it. As long as I give him a ring of the false prophet, so I might do that. And other stuff, yeah, so this is what we're casting. This is what we're forging. So we're getting a Mirage Crystal this turn, which is a Glamour Booster. Continuing to roll out new stuff. We're going to go ahead and break siege here. Put this army. So, yeah, it's just knights. They're probably going to kill a lot of my stuff, though, which is kind of annoying. I'm going to go ahead and throw up Foul Vapors using a Cornucopia. And then I think that's most of it. And then we've brought some Sagittarian carcasses. The hope there is maybe I get a couple extra mannequins out of it. Unfortunately, the carrion seed effect doesn't seem to affect mounts, at least from what I've noticed, so I might ask Elwinter about that. And just through the Steam like bug thread, I might post about that. We'll see. And then yeah, otherwise continuing to try and save up gems. We're finally going to have Lichcraft next turn. We've broken 3k on research. So we're not quite at getting a 9 every 2 turns, but we're working on it. Machaca is probably collecting a bunch of 9s right now. So we'll have to see what they do. And I think that's it for this turn. We'll have to see. And yeah, because I don't think there's a heck of a lot else. We're still trying to push our Dominion a bit. I think we're finally starting to get some Black Dryads up here. We're also going to go ahead and build a temple here in Barren Crags, try to push our Dominion a little bit more here. So that should be helpful. And then we're going to try to garrison the area with some more stuff. We probably need to add another raiding group here to protect that temple. And I think that's it. Yeah. So just a whole lot of setup. We'll see what happens. I anticipate it'll be probably more setup for another week. And then probably I'll get coalitioned after that, is my guess. But yeah, I think that's it for this turn. One thing that might be good for me to do would be to pull Machaca's graphs with Akashic Record. That could be really good. So I might consider doing that. And for me to do that, if he's got his capital domed, I don't want it to affect a more important province. So I could send my golem here. Because I still have an astral mage here to try and block Mind Hunt. I'm starting to become more concerned about Mind Hunt as well. So I am trying to get some astral mages spread around. Like there's no astral here. There's no astral here. So I really want to start getting some astral stuff spread around. They could mind hunt other little patrolling groups, which would be really annoying. So definitely would want to consider what's going on here. I probably need to move these 2 astral guys out of here. So let's, do we have an astral guy here? Okay, so we'll move one astral guy there. And then do we have shoes? We do have shoes. And we have a stealthy hat. So we can move this guy here, maybe move him up. Oh, we do have an astral guy here. Okay, so we'll wait. And then we'll wait until this is cleared, then I can probably move this guy up, and then over the next few turns we'll have a little bit better Mind Hunt protection. Astral ones aren't perfect for Mind Hunt protection, but they work well enough that I think it should dissuade people from doing it, I hope. But we'll see. Another thing that might be good for me to do is to get a couple of specters. Specters can random astral as a path. That can be another way for me to get some more astral mages, especially ones that don't cost upkeep. And because they're naturally stealthy, I can run them underneath raiding groups and block Mind Hunt that way as well. But I'm still hopeful for doing 2 big globals, and I think that would be stronger than protecting random mannequin groups. So we're not going to spend on that until it becomes a problem. All right, and I think that's it for this turn. Yeah, so in terms of provinces, we look like that. Income's starting to go down because we aren't growing like we used to. And I think that's it for this turn. So I'll go ahead and see you guys in turn 58. Might record a few turns next week, assuming we get some more peace. So maybe one more episode of peace, and then we should be back to war, I would think. So I'll see you guys then. Have a good one. Bye.